Hello, celestial beings. I'm here again with another kind of quick and dirty video. This one is coming out because we had some really shocking announcements in the Gundam world, and, well, whether I want to admit it or not, Gundam is kind of my bread and butter. Clearly, it's where the numbers are, and it relates to a lot of the other videos that I've been making lately, so it's not often that I get something this serendipitous, so we're going to take a second to look at the Gundam announcement that came out just this last week. Crap damn, we're getting something new already. So here we are, the first week of December in 2024, and much to basically everyone's surprise, we first get an announcement of a model kit, a maybe a little bit too busy design for a new Gundam with a pretty ridiculous title. I'm told that the pronunciation, and listening to the Japanese trailer, it sounds like G-Cox or G-Quacks. But I am going to call this thing with way too many U's in its name the G-Cucks, and no one can stop me. The design seemed, I'm going to be honest, I thought it was a little too busy, and I've seen a lot of other people say the same, but then we started getting more information. Again, it felt like it was coming out of left field, but on December 3rd, it was clear what we were getting, and wow, this is huge. So, G-Cucks is going to be a collaboration, not just with Sunrise, but between Studio Khara, a studio I mentioned quite a bit in my previous Gainax video. This was the studio that was founded by Hideaki Anno, the creator of Neon Genesis Evangelion, and the current shepherd of the Shin series of films, wherein Mr. Anno is taking basically every Japanese pop cultural export from the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, and doing his own spin on them. And what do you know? I guess we're getting Shin Gundam after all. I don't want to overstate Anno's involvement in this project. In fact, it's kind of a beautiful counterpoint to how 36 years ago, Anno himself kind of got screwed over when he designed the Rel Lula for the movie Mobile Suit Gundam Char's Counterattack. But you'll notice Hideaki Anno's name is not in the credits of that movie. The studio, Gainax, is. And while Khara is definitely listed as a collaborator on this, noticeably the first trailer that we got made a point of naming the big Khara names working on it, including my beloved Kazuya Tsurumaki, the director of Furikuri, and the criminally underrated sequel to Gunbuster, Diebuster. Tsurumaki's Furikuri collaborator is working as the head writer, and Anno will apparently be contributing to the writing process as well. In addition to that, the mech designer from Neon Genesis Evangelion, at least the pretty stunning, if not also very busy design to the rebuilds, has come on to, at the very least, design our protagonist mech. On top of that, Take, the character designer for Pokemon Sun and Moon and Sword and Shield, has jumped on as character designer, and these are some extremely expressive-looking characters. I know it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, especially if that Pokemon aesthetic can be off-putting for some people, but these are designs that work very well in motion, and it already looks like from the trailer we're going to be seeing these characters being very expressive and very dynamic. I'm especially taken aback, though, with our new Gundam pilot. Seeing Machu really just pleasantly shocked me. The Gundam franchise has, of course, gone a very long time with basically exclusively male protagonists, at least as the primary character, and here we have Machu, our new Gundam pilot, and it is another girl. hot on the heels off of Sled of Mercury from Witch from Mercury, a show that I absolutely adored, and for that matter, Iria Solari from Requiem for Vengeance, which was hot crap, but at the very least, we seem to be onto something. Although it is getting a little bit weird that every time we've had a woman or young woman main character in Gundam, they've been redheads so far. This is a theme, and it's... I mean, while she wasn't the protagonist of the story, this kind of even goes back to Chris Mackenzie, and I do not know why this keeps happening, but it's kind of weird. We also got to look at some of the supporting cast and this delightful little Haro. I don't know why we are putting a beanie on the Haro, but I'm 110% here for it. This even has some CG 2D blending on the mecha. This is something that I wasn't really a big fan of a few years ago, but as the technology has improved and as, frankly, just as importantly, animators have adapted to it, it's been looking better and better, and Sunrise has especially been flexing on that. You compare how rough things were with things like the early episodes of Gundam The Origin, and then you look at even the later episodes of Gundam The Origin, the Dones Island movie, or even Seed Freedom. CG mecha blending has finally become something that isn't such an eyesore, and I welcome it. It's hard to say what we should expect story-wise, especially since there's some leaks that people have really been jumping onto. I don't want to give them too much credence, since as far as I'm concerned, they just haven't been fully vetted. But on the other hand, a lot of things that are aesthetic markers of what the leaks imply seem to be there, so it's not without merit. There's a lot of rumors that this might be either some alternate Universal Century thing, or like an alternate timeline that's very similar, even without the spoilerific stuff from the leaks. We have what appears to be a Heat Hawk in the Gundam's hand, this exceptionally Zaku-looking mech with the Zaku head and shoulders especially visible, and even the design of the space colony is more than a little bit familiar. Now, this is admittedly a little outside my wheelhouse. I'm not sure that hyping up things before they're even out, as opposed to analyzing the existing material, is necessarily what I'm good at. But it is hard to not be a little bit excited about the future of the Gundam franchise. It was really rough, I'm gonna be honest, after having something that I loved as much as Witch from Mercury, having to then settle for how much I despise Seed Freedom, and how my negative feelings toward that were dwarfed horribly by how much I loathed Requiem for Vengeance. It feels nice to be excited about a Gundam thing again, and this is definitely pushing all my buttons. I'm a big fan of these artists, especially Kazuya Tsurumaki. I like the art that he's made, and I like the fact that he's working with so many of his longtime collaborators. One of the things that sticks out most to me when I look at Tsurumaki's resume, though, is I go back to, like I said, Die Buster. I cannot stop raving about this show. Someday I'm going to actually just talk about it and how much I love it, and how Taiko Science is trans. You can't prove me wrong. But today, the character that it just keeps popping to my mind in terms of Tsurumaki as a director and as a storyteller is the character of Lulk in Die Buster. Lulk isn't necessarily the main character. She shares that spotlight with Nono, but Lulk is an especially interesting character because when we meet her, she is already a beloved ace pilot. And On top of that, she is textually, according to the series, a teenager. To be in that squadron, you do need to be under the age of 18. And once you come of age, you can no longer be a mech pilot. But Lulk isn't just a mech pilot. She's already legendary, even at the beginning of the story. And as it continues, the weight of the world, eventually quite literally, is placed on her shoulders as the hero of humanity. An impossible task is given to her, and she still needs to rise to the occasion. And the way that she's written, the way that she copes with that, the fact that she is just such a beautifully fleshed out character in such an unfair situation is legitimately one of my favorite elements of Die Buster. And when I think about how the character of Lulk was handled, I look at Machu, the new protagonist of this new Gundam series, and I have so much faith in this staff because they've told stories about young women in these impossible situations before, and they've more than risen to the occasion. And I really am excited to see Machu, our new protagonist here, face some new challenges and maybe be overwhelmed, but eventually come out of it. It is exciting seeing Gundam still being willing to do new, wild, and weird stuff. It's great seeing a whole bunch of the old Anno stable back together and making something really neat, and it's especially cool that even with making sure the company gets shouted out, as this is a Kara Sunrise co-production, it's really beautiful to see Anno directly contributing to breaking that cycle, seeing the director, the writer, the mech designers' names up front and credited, not just lumped into a file folder that says Kara. It makes me feel all the more vindicated about everything I said about Gainax and its mistreatment of its talent, and I sincerely hope that as Kara moves forward as a company, they continue to make it clear up front that it is the artists making these things, not just an amorphous logo and name of a company. Last but not least, I guess I do kind of want to go into the leaks just because I think they're really interesting, and we'll see if they're right. If you don't want to know anything about this leaked information that may or may not be real, thank you for checking in, and keep on spocking in the free world. But if you are familiar with them or want to hear what I have to say about them, I've got some thoughts. So here's your chance to step out. And for everyone still sticking around, let's talk about those leaks, because I'm fascinated if they are real. The leaks came from a translation of an Italian website that Sunrise set up, which is all the more reason why I'm kind of spurious about them. But again, the aesthetics that we're seeing here are kind of lending to those leaks maybe being real. The leaks state that this is an alternate timeline wherein the 1 Year War still happened, but a new type pilot named Char stole the Gundam. It was modified into something called the Red Gundam. It has Elmeth bits attached to it, and noticeably it sure looks like Machu is fighting remote lasers that look a lot like the bits from the Elmeth. And using it to win the war. So we are so if these leaks are real, we are looking at an alternate story wherein Zeon won, which is of course a nightmarish scenario for anyone paying attention. Now, especially after the last video I did about Requiem for Vengeance, and with the project that is Gundam is Antifa, and here's why, that I'm still working on, some of you might think that I'd be against that on principle. But I'm going to be honest, part of it is that if this is real, I still trust these writers and the director, and there's a lot of reasons for me to feel that way. Now, in our actually confirmed information that we do know that Machu, our protagonist, gets involved in these clan battles. They're like illegal underground mecha fighting. I'm not exactly sure how that works, and of course not literally underground. It also states that she and her friends are on the run from both government and cops. And this Zaku-looking thing with police markings on it, almost the idea of, like, the police using a military surplus Zaku, seems to lend some credibility also to this whole, is this an alternate universe where Zeon won? But the idea that our heroes are fighting these police state and the country they represent kind of makes me think that I might be getting one more thing that I can talk about for Gundam as Antifa, and I hope that I'm right. I think I'm really in favor of, if that's the direction they're going, I'm even in favor of it because I'm going to have something to point to say, hey, now you know what it looks like in a world where Zeon won, and it's an awful totalitarian police state. Just like the series told you it would be. They're not secretly the good guys. On top of all that, I saw some people talking about the implications of that story of Char stealing the Gundam and using it for evil. Now, of course, like longtime UC fans, the Cosfall Gundam or Char Custom Gundam has been a thing that's come up in some video games and some lore for a really long time. And so that's kind of if that is real, that's kind of a fun AU thing, a what if you will. But I also really liked one takeaway that I saw in a tokusatsu forum that I'm in, where this is probably my favorite reading of it. For especially Zeon and Char fanboys, there's this implication that if Char had the Gundam, like, they would have won the war. But there's an equal, or maybe even more of a chance that maybe it's not that Char got in the Gundam so much as Amuro didn't, that caused everything to go to hell. That's a wild concept, and that would be something really cool for them to approach. It verges on great man theory in a way that I'm not comfortable with. I'm a historian, and so that's kind of not up my alley. But I don't know, the idea that evil wins when good men do nothing is also kind of an interesting... I'm not going to lie and say that I don't find that to be kind of an interesting truism, even if I'm not sure that it's entirely based in reality. I am excited for this. I just wanted to get some initial thoughts and reactions out there, and I would love to hear you guys' thoughts below. So please feel free to sound off in the comment section and just kind of give me your thoughts on if you're excited for G-Cux. Despite its terrible name with too many U's in it, I love the staff working on it. I didn't even get to rant about how much I love the voice cast that we have so far. The actress playing Machu, whose name is escaping me right now, she was the lead in Skip and Loafer, which is one of my favorite slice of life anime of recent memory. She was also Becca in Cyberpunk, and Phos in Land of the Lustrous, which has some really good dark and messed up brain feels. Can't recommend any of those enough. And of course, the legendary Yui Ishikawa is playing Nyan. And if you don't know her, she played 2B in Nier Automata, as well as A2 in the Yorha stage play. So that's... so we got some really strong talent associated with this project. I am really hyped. I can't wait to talk about it more. I hope I can... I'm feeling vindicated about all the stuff that I said about Gainax, and this is me putting it out there, seeing if maybe I will be vindicated about the depiction of a Zeon victory and the horrors of fascism. I wasn't vindicated about the ending of that last Gundam video, so let's see if maybe my track record will improve. As always, thank you guys for sticking with me. Have a great rest of your evening. Thanks for putting up with the fact that I am really tired from work, so I didn't want to sit in front of the camera. And as always, keep on spocking in the free world.